as you can see, I received a very large package today. So let's see what's inside. So as you guys can see, this is a beast of a desert rose. All the roots, they have been grafted onto this trunk, and then also these branches up here have also been grafted on. This tree is a Thai Socotranum, so it does come originally, it came from the island of Socotranum. Now not anymore because that island is protected, but I'm sure this tree came from a seed and has been propagated from a different tree that originally came from the island of Socotranum. So the first thing that I do after I take it out of the box is I take a closer look at it and make sure that it doesn't have any damaged roots, right? If it has damaged roots, I have to cut them off right away, and I have to preserve them because the rot of a desert rose spreads really fast. So for instance, if this root here was rotten and I would not remove it and seal this, it will continue to rot and the whole tree would start to rot. So that's one of the first things I do, inspect the tree. I also take a look at the branches up here. So there are a couple branches up here that are smushed. So there are a couple branches up here that are smushed and they have been damaged from the shipping. So what I do right away is I remove them. I take my sharp serrated sickle and I just cut those branches at a slight angle. And then after I've done that, here's a little trick that I've learned in Thailand, is when you have a cut on a Adenium desert rose, you don't want to use regular cut paste. In Thailand, they use a product called a limestone paste. Now, this is a cooking ingredient in Thailand, and they actually use this to crisp up doughs. So whenever they fry batter or whatever it is, they use this limestone paste. Now, in the terms of using this as sort of like a cut paste, it draws out all the moisture into the paste, and the paste dries up and becomes very hard. And the cut will heal over within days. It's very impressive how fast this heals. So I just sealed this little corner right here. So as you can see, I just use a little bit and I just cover up the entire area that I just removed. I left a little space because they do have dieback as well. They kind of react like a jade. So this will turn a grayish color. First it will turn white and then it will blend in with the bark. And in about a week I can remove this and then you will not see where I cut the area anymore. So limestone paste. So there's only really this one branch that was damaged, which is very impressive since it came all the way from Thailand. I mean, this is not bad at all. At this point, what I do after I inspect the tree and cover up all of these areas with the lime paste, what I do is, if I have damage on the roots, I cut it as well, but I don't put the cut paste on the root. I just let the tree sit in the shade for a couple extra days before potting, and that area will start to dry up. So I prepared a bath here for this Adenium. Since this tree has been sitting in the same box for an entire month, inside the box it was really humid and moist, so the roots can catch a fungus. So I use a fungus bath. I use diethane and I mix that with Super Thrive, and I soak the tree in only the root base in that mixture for about 20 minutes. And then once I take it out of that bath, I let the tree sit in a shaded area for 3 full days. And I don't water the roots or anything because I want the roots to dry out, okay? So the diethane, it's really important that you follow the instruction on the box. The same with the Super Thrive. This is the fungicide solution, and the yellow comes from the diethane. So I'm going to soak one side first and then the other side after that. So the Adenium just finished soaking in this bath for 20 minutes. I soaked one side first and I soaked the other side. I did not soak the branches. I did not submerge the entire tree, just a root ball. And the fungicide is really here to kill all of the fungus that may have developed over the time that it was inside the box. Now the next step is really important, that I take this tree and I place it in a shaded area outside, and I let the roots completely dry out. So I'll leave it there for about 3 full days before potting it. Now the tree is finally potted, and we potted it in this beautiful handmade plastic container. This plastic container is actually the saucer from a water heater. Yeah, I couldn't find a pot large enough because this tree, when I ordered this tree from Thailand, they didn't measure all the way out to the end of the root tips. So they just gave me the measurements to about here, right? So I did actually special order some pots that size in China, and then once this arrived, I was actually shocked. And first I thought, oh, maybe they gave it to me in centimeters, but they actually did give it to me in inches. And it just turns out that it didn't measure it all the way out. So I didn't have a pot for it, and I went to Home Depot to get those black plastic tubs, you know, that you mix the concrete in. But none of them were big enough until I walked past this water heater aisle, and they had these trays sitting there, and they're about $5 each. So I took 2 and I wired them together, and then this is the pot for right now. The soil that I use for this Adenium is a mixture of pumice, expanded clay, charcoal, red lava, and turfus. And that's the soil mixture that has been recommended to me by a very good friend in Thailand, who uses the exact same soil mixture, or very close to the same, and he says that this really works for him. So since I repotted this tree, what we first did, when I first received the tree, I soaked it in the root hormone and the antifungal bath, and then I let the tree sit out for another 3 days in a shaded area where the roots could dry out completely. And then I potted the tree, and then I waited another almost a week until I first started watering. And after I watered it the first time, it's really impressive. Just a couple of days later, it already started to push for new growth. And I'm going to show you a close-up in just a second. So if you look very carefully, you can see that right here on the tip is where it's starting to push new growth. Here, and you can also see it here. It's just starting. So here's also a little trick on how to get such a fine ramification on an Adenium. If you look in here, you can see how it's very smooth, right? But then if you look in here, where it looks like little smiles or eyes, this is where actually all the buds are. So if I were to cut here, I would probably get 2 new buds. But if I cut in here, I get about 6. So I get a lot more. So if I were to cut here again, I could multiply and start my ramification fairly quickly. So another one, this one would not be a good one to cut because they're not very close to each other. But then this one over here, would be a very good candidate, since it has all the little eyes to come very close together here. So I want to cut it here, and then I get more of a ramification. After I watered it the first time, it's actually very impressive. The tree already started to push new growth, right? So here's what I'm gonna do. Um, I started watering just once a week, and now that I see that it's starting to grow and push growth, I'm gonna start to water every 3 days. Once I see flowers coming though, like once I see the first buds starting to push, that's when I'm going to water every single day. Because an adenium needs a lot of water to produce flowers. And once the tree is in full flower, I'm going to continue to water. I will stop the watering or slow down the watering again once at the end of the summer. Once we go into fall, I'm going to go back to water every 3 days, and I'm going to start to go back to once a week. And around Thanksgiving is where I stop to water the tree completely until about the middle of February again, because I want the adenium to go to sleep. And so that's how you naturally put it to sleep. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys learned something at the same time. If you guys have any questions or any comments, please let us know, and we'll make sure to respond and answer those questions. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, and catch you guys next time.